It's that time again, guys, gals, and pals, for more What If Smash Ultimate had DLC costumes. Now, since we've already covered all the original characters from Smash 64, the newcomers for Melee, the newcomers for Brawl, and the newcomers for Smash 4, it's time for the last entry in this series covering all the newcomers from Smash Ultimate. Of which there's quite a few. Sakurai said, don't expect too much new content in this game, and then proceeded to add the most amount of new characters in the franchise to date. Wild. But with that said, just a couple caveats to go over in case maybe you missed the previous videos. But in general, we are going to try to stick to our examples being not simple recolors, wherever possible. We're going to try to avoid using different characters as alternate skins, again, wherever possible. Some exceptions have to be made. And those are really the only two guidelines here. So with that said, let's get right on into it. Starting with character number 64, the Inkling. Now, the Inkling actually already has two character variants. You have the male and female versions of Inkling. So in keeping with that, I did want to keep male and female skin numbers consistent. So I decided to go with both a male and female variant of the Octoling, which I know I said we're going to try to avoid alternate characters. The Inkling isn't really a specific character, so kind of had to get a little creative there. But I think the Octolings would work pretty well, just as further representation of the diversity of the Splatoon characters, especially considering that there isn't a set design for the Inkling beyond, like, a neutral skin tone and octopus tentacle hair. So kind of switching that up to use the Octolings with like the slightly different hair and the more militaristic looking designs almost, I think would make for a unique difference there for the Inkling. And also I didn't have many other ideas. Character that I didn't have a problem coming up with an idea for though is Ridley. Character number 65 here, who already has a decent reference, which had it not have been included in the game, would have been my choice, with Meta Ridley. However, after looking into the Metroid Wiki, trying to troll for some ideas for Ridley, I did discover there is still one version of Ridley that doesn't have reference in Smash Bros., which is actually Proteus Ridley from Metroid Samus Returns, which is basically just a further enhancement of Meta Ridley. We already have Meta Ridley and Mecha Ridley, so I figured Proteus Ridley, which is kind of somewhere in between, kind of makes sense to just go ahead and include him. Plus, Ridley doesn't have that much change in his appearance over the games, so there's not a whole lot to work with there. By comparison, someone who has quite a few different looks over the years, we've got number 66, Simon Belmont. Now, Simon Belmont has a really interesting design history, because some of his appearances in other games have been, shall we say, unique. Like one of my original ideas, Simon Belmont from Castlevania Judgment, which was the Castlevania fighting game. Yes, that's a thing. But honestly, this strays so far from the look of, like, Smash Simon that I didn't really want to use it. Also, it just looks so weird. Like, it barely looks like Simon. So instead, I decided to use Simon's appearance from Castlevania Simon's Quest, in which he's got a different armor appearance, kind of looks a little bit older. So I think using Simon's Quest would differentiate him enough, since now he has like metal armor instead of leather, leather whip instead of the chain whip, although honestly they'd probably keep the chain whip just for consistency. But just that's a different design rather than Castlevania Judgment, which goes so far. Simon's Quest is still similar enough to default Simon, but different enough to warrant being a DLC skin. Now, on to the next character, the King of Skill's favorite Crocodile Man, character number 67, King K. Rool. Had to kind of go looking for some options for K. Rool here, but then I did stumble across one from, I believe it's Donkey Kong Country 3, Baron K. Roolenstein. Now, this one already is sort of referenced in the game with K. Rool's up smash, where he hits the propeller pack that just, like, shoots him up. But honestly, I just like the look. This one really kind of comes down to personal preference, but I like the look of just, lab coat, riffing on Dr. Frankenstein. Like, it's a fun look. Now, for a character who's got quite a few designs, but they're all very similar. Number 68, we have Isabelle. And I decided for Isabelle's character to go with her design from Animal Crossing Pocket Camp. Because she doesn't really have like a pink looking outfit in the game already. So I figure that's different enough from the rest of her default outfits that we can work with it. Yes, this one is sort of just a recolor, but there's not much to work with for Isabelle, so kind of had to bend the rules there a little. Now this next character I did have quite a problem with. Character number 69 is Incineroar, and just by way of being a Pokemon, there's not a whole hell of a lot to work with there, especially being a Pokemon that's so recent. Some of the older Pokemon like Pikachu and Mewtwo, you have a little bit more to work with. Incineroar doesn't, unfortunately. So I kind of had to go trolling for mods and see if maybe I could find something that we could work with there. Which I did stumble across a Team Skull themed Incineroar on Game Banana by Blue Awaga. Apologies if I mispronounced that. And honestly, referencing Team Skull seems pretty cool for Incineroar. That is his home region. And I don't know that Team Skull actually has reference in Ultimate. I may be wrong. I know Team Aqua does for sure. And I think Team Rocket? Yeah, Team Rocket has a beak skin. But I don't believe Team Skull actually has any sort of representation. So making a Team Skull themed Incineroar just seems kind of cool. But with that said, that is the base roster's inclusions for Ultimate. Now, onto the DLC, starting with everybody's favorite plant boy, character number 70, the Piranha Plant. Piranha Plant already has a good number of alt colors referencing its different appearances throughout different Mario games, so I didn't really have much to work with there. I did decide instead to go with something that I found on DeviantArt from Funtime Shadow Freddy, which is a melon-themed Piranha Plant. I know, once again, I said we're avoiding recolors. Piranha Plant doesn't leave you a lot to work with. I really don't have a reason for this. I just kind of thought it was fun. I mean, you take Piranha Plant's head, make it a melon. There's really not much else to it. Now, for one of my favorite characters, number 71, Joker. Joker already has two different skins. He has his Phantom Thief outfit and his student outfit. So I wanted to try and branch out to maybe some of the other outfits that you see Joker wearing, and one of my first thoughts was actually Prisoner Joker, that you see whenever you go to the Velvet Room. However, I decided against that because, frankly, the outfit's got no sauce. It's just a prisoner outfit, and that's boring. You know what does have sauce, though? Joker's outfit from Persona 5 Dancing in Starlight. Yes, it is technically just a variation on his student outfit, but the man has style in that outfit. And man, style points will get you everywhere. So, yeah, we're gonna go with Dancing in Starlight with Joker, just because, again, gotta let Joker have some extra drip. Now, moving on to number 72, the hero from Dragon Quest. This character actually already has most of their representation from different heroes throughout Dragon Quest covered. I mean, their main 4 costumes, the default is the hero from Dragon Quest XI, the second outfit is the hero from Dragon Quest III, third is the hero from Dragon Quest IV, and the fourth is the hero from Dragon Quest VIII, with their recolors each referencing another game as well. So there's not a whole lot to work with in terms of just picking another hero, because even the ones that aren't directly made playable are referenced all in their Final Smash. So couldn't exactly use a different hero as the hero's DLC skin. Instead, I decided to just expand on the hero from Dragon Quest XI's outfit and go with the wedding outfit that he has from the end of the game. This mostly came down to, as I've already gone over, there's not much to work with for hero. Nintendo was pretty thorough in terms of including all of the Dragon Quest games in some capacity, so they didn't leave a whole lot for me to work with. Speaking of characters that didn't give me a whole lot to work with, number 73, Banjo-Kazooie. Oh man, I really tried with Banjo-Kazooie. I found nothing. I'm going to be entirely honest. I ultimately just decided to go with Banjo-Kazooie's appearance from Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts, just because the art style is different. It's not very different, but it's different enough that I decided we could go with that. If any of you guys have better ideas, feel free to drop a comment. Maybe we can address that in a later video. But yeah, I genuinely had nothing for Banjo-Kazooie. They left nothing to work with. Moving on to fighting game characters, though, who usually have a good amount of source material to pull from, we have number 74, Terry Bogard, whose default appearance is based on his appearance in King of Fighters. So I decided for his DLC costume to pull from a different game that he's in, which is Fatal Fury Mark of the Wolves. As you can see here, he ditched the hat and got himself a sick leather jacket. Honestly, it's just kind of a cool look. It would be different enough from his default look while still referencing his source material, so gotta go with Mark of the Wolves. Up next we have number 75, Byleth, another one with a male and female variants. So like I said with Inkling, we're going to want to keep that number consistent. So to that effort, I decided to go with Legendary Byleth for both male and female variants, because it's just a really cool look. I like the kind of dramatic gravitas to it. They both feel like they're bordering on over-design, but not quite. Kind of a consistent tone with Fire Emblem characters, if I'm being honest. So we're going to go with Legendary Byleth, just to kind of reference like maybe their end-game appearance. However, if I was not interested in keeping the male and female skin numbers consistent, I would go with Maid Female Byleth, purely for the lulz. You can't go wrong with taking a badass character like Byleth and putting him in a maid outfit. That's just funny. Now, I know I said fighting game characters usually give you a lot to work with. This one is the exception. Number 76, Min Min. Maybe this is just because I never played ARMS, but I had nothing for Min Min until I remembered the reveal trailer. I thought, rather than just kind of trying to come up with something, or, you know, maybe just coming up with a recolor referencing another ARMS character, let's go with Min Min's server costume from her Smash Ultimate reveal trailer, where she was just working in the ramen shop as a waitress. This is mostly because I just, once again, kind of find it funny, and as I've already stated, I had nothing to work with here. Min Min's so hard to work with. I'm sorry. But moving on from ARMS, a game that nobody played, to a game that perhaps everybody has played. Character number 77, we got Steve! And Steve already has 4 characters as part of his costume set. We got the default Steve, second appearance of Alex, and they kind of alternate for 3 and 4 and 5 and 6. And then costume 7, we have the zombie, and costume 8, you have the Enderman. So with Steve already referencing so many things from across Minecraft, I decided to go ahead and give him another completely new character as his DLC skin and go with Jesse from Minecraft Story Mode. Yes, I'm aware that if we were actually going to be doing this, there would probably be some legalities involved there that may make Jesse untenable. But since this is purely theoretical, I'm going with Jesse as my choice, referencing Minecraft Story Mode. For another one of my favorite characters, though, perhaps even my main, number 78, we have Sephiroth. And Sephiroth's default outfit is from Final Fantasy VII with a shirtless variant referencing more of like the endgame final boss appearance. However, I decided for his DLC skin to go with his appearance in Kingdom Hearts. Specifically, Kingdom Hearts 2. I believe Kingdom Hearts 1, he actually still sort of just looked similar to his default appearance, but in Kingdom Hearts 2, he looked a little bit more dramatic. So we're going to go with Kingdom Hearts Sephiroth, because in my previous video discussing Smash 4 characters, we also went with Kingdom Hearts Cloud, so there's some consistency there, and also Sephiroth is another character that doesn't have a whole lot to work with in terms of alternate designs. So there's not really a whole lot to go on, but I do like the additional blue and red accents to Sephiroth's design. I feel like that would kind of contrast nicely with his just generally darker designs in Smash Ultimate. So this gives him a little bit more of a colorful look, which I think kind of works for the character, since he doesn't have a whole lot to go with. Now, up next, we have a combo fighter, number 79 and 80, Pyra and Mythra. Now, for them, I did sort of run into a problem, and again, this might be down to me not being familiar with Xenoblade, but I didn't have a whole lot to work with here. For Pyra, one of my original thoughts was her disguise outfit from fairly early on in the game, but then I ran into a problem of there's not anything to go with that for Mythra. So rather than using Disguise Pyra, I decided to go with the swimsuit designs for both Pyra and Mythra, because at least then it's consistent between the two of them, since you have to be able to switch back and forth. And also, like I said, since I haven't played the game, I don't know if they really have any other designs that might work better. I feel like Smash Ultimate themselves even had trouble coming up with recolors for them, seeing as there's one that's literally just like gold and silver, one that's just blue. So there's not a whole lot to work with there for Pyra and Mythra, so I think just using their swimsuit designs is probably your best bet. But with that one out of the way, let's move on to number 81, Kazuya. Kazuya actually already has an appearance referencing his most iconic design from Tekken, which is just the pants with the gloves, as well as his design from the most recent game at the time of Smash Ultimate's release, Tekken 7, where he's wearing the suit. So with that said, I actually wanted to do a bit of a throwback with Kazuya and go with his design from Tekken 1, where he's wearing like the jeans and the wife beater, rather than his more recent designs. No real reason for this. I just feel like referencing classic Tekken, especially Tekken 1, since they decided to include Kazuya instead of the more like traditional picks for a Tekken character, where everybody thought it was either going to be Jin Kazama, since he's the closest thing to a protagonist that series has, or Heihachi Mishima, who's the closest thing to like the Ryu or Scorpion type character. I figured referencing classic Tekken with Kazuya's DLC skin would be the best way to go there. And for the final Smash Ultimate DLC character, we have Sora. And Sora already has all of his skins referencing some sort of form or appearance that he has. I mean, his default skin is Kingdom Hearts 1. He also has an appearance referencing Kingdom Hearts 2, Kingdom Hearts Dream Drop Distance, and Kingdom Hearts 3. So, with those just being like his default renders, and then the recolors referencing different forms that he's had, kind of had to pull from some of the Disney worlds to try and get some ideas. One of my earlier thoughts was the Tron design from Space Paranoids, or the Grid, even from Dream Drop Distance, or even Halloween Town from Kingdom Hearts 2. Honestly, Sora has no shortage of forms to try to reference. I mean, good God, just look at that. so many options there. But ultimately, rather than pulling from one of the Disney games, or the Disney worlds, I decided to pull from one of the only forms that Sora has that didn't get any sort of reference with his standard costumes, Anti-Form Sora from Kingdom Hearts 2. Yes, Anti-Form Sora isn't something that most people really want to use. It's usually just kind of the game's way of penalizing you for using form changes. But it is still an integral part of Kingdom Hearts. And also, it looks cool as hell. You could even have like an additional aura coming off of him, like a black smoky aura, whenever you select Anti-Form. So I think Anti-Form would be pretty cool. And with that said, that is all of the standard fighters that were added to Smash Ultimate. However, as with Smash 4, we do have to cover the Echo Fighters. With Echo Fighter number 1 being Dark Samus. Dark Samus, again, this might just be me being unfamiliar with Dark Samus lore. I didn't have many ideas. So instead of just kind of trying to come up with another recolor, I decided to go with the Zero Suit style Dark Samus that I've seen in a lot of fan art, which I know isn't like true Zero Suit Dark Samus, but it's sort of Zero Suit Dark Samus. It's like incomplete Dark Samus, I guess. So just kind of decided to go with that one. Now, the next Echo Fighter, though, Daisy, did give me a little more to work with, although I did still kind of struggle. One of my earliest thoughts was with Sports Daisy, since she usually makes appearances in various like sports spin-off games. I don't think Daisy's been seen in a mainline Mario game outside of Mario Wonders since like Super Mario Land. So she's usually known more for appearing in the sports spin-off games. But since she is based on Peach, she does have the float mechanic, which kind of is because of the dress, at least as far as I'm aware. I don't know if Peach just has innate floaty powers. So I decided to go away from the sports costume and instead go with classic Daisy, because her design has sort of changed over the years, become a little more intricate. So I think like simplifying the dress down, giving her like the longer hair, and all that would make for a great reference to like just classic retro Daisy. Echo character number 3, though, Chrom, I had no such problem. I knew exactly what I wanted out of Chrom, and that's Chrom's appearance from Tokyo Mirage Sessions. Honestly, this is another one kind of like the Fire Emblem designs, that tends to get just close to being over-designed, which, I mean, when you combine Fire Emblem with Shin Megami Tensei, you're gonna get a little close to being over-designed. But honestly, this has drip. This costume has so much drip, you kind of have to put some respect on it. Like, come on, just look at that. Look at that glorious man. So, yeah, Chrom, we're going Tokyo Mirage Sessions. We kind of just had to. Now, Echo Fighter number 4, though, we have our boy Ken. And for Ken, one of my earliest thoughts, which I immediately abandoned because this costume sucks, was Ken's appearance in Street Fighter V. Before I remembered that nobody likes Ken's appearance in Street Fighter V. So instead, I decided to go with, as I refer to him, Hobo Ken from Street Fighter VI. Yes, I'm aware that when Ultimate was coming out, Street Fighter 6 was not a thing. However, at the time of making this, Street Fighter 6 exists, so I'm going to be pulling from it for reference. So we're using Street Fighter 6 Hobo Ken, because it's probably one of his better, like, non-classic appearances in recent memory. And for our last Echo Fighter, we have our boy Richter Belmont. Richter, unlike Simon, actually does have some decent appearances to pull from. His default appearance in Smash is based on his look in Rondo of Blood, so I decided to pull from his appearances in other games for our options of DLC skins. One of my first thoughts was actually to go with his Symphony of the Night appearance, which isn't bad, but it also feels like it's kind of lacking a little bit in style. And Richter needs some style. So instead, I decided to go with his Dracula X appearance as his DLC skin. Dracula X Richter just kind of honestly looks a little bit better. It looks like Symphony of the Night Richter just kind of turned up a little bit in terms of style, while still maintaining that same color scheme and like basic design choice of Rondo of Blood Richter. So for Richter, we're gonna go with Dracula X, because that's honestly one of Richter's coolest looks, if I'm being honest. And with Richter, that is actually now all 80 plus characters of Smash Ultimate's roster with a new potential DLC costume. And I hope you all have enjoyed this little mini-series. If and when Nintendo does come out with a new Smash game, we will, of course, be looking into any potential DLC skins for any newcomers we get in that game. Maybe on the Switch 2, which, as of the time of recording this, has already been announced. We should be getting more information on that shortly, and with the way that Nintendo usually handles Smash Bros., there should be a new Smash Bros. Game on that system shortly. So we're looking forward to that. And hopefully we'll get some more new characters. Come on, Crash Bandicoot. But anyways, hope you all enjoyed. If you disagree with any of my takes or have some honorable mentions of your own that you think I should have included, do feel free to drop those in the comments. And I will catch you all next time. Have a good one.